Last night I lay next to the woman I've loved for over 38 years, and I couldn't bring myself to touch her. Not because I didn't want to, not because we argued, but because something inside me just froze. The room was still. Her breathing was soft, but in my chest, there was a quiet kind of ache, the kind no one talks about. It wasn't my heart. It wasn't my back or my knees. It was the part of me that made me feel like a man. You see, when you're over 60, your body starts to change, silently. One day, you notice your hands are colder. Then your erections aren't what they used to be. And before you know it, you start pulling away, not just from intimacy, but from yourself. My name is Dr. Laura, and for the past 20 years, I've sat across from men just like you. Strong men, good men, loving men, who feel like they've become strangers in their own skin. Men who look at their partners with love, but avoid reaching out, afraid they'll disappoint, afraid they're too old, afraid they're broken. But here's what I want to tell you, from one heart to another. You are not broken, you are evolving. And in today's video, I'm going to share 5 health truths. Science-backed, deeply human, and rarely spoken out loud, that will help you reclaim not just your body, but your sense of connection, confidence, and vitality. This isn't about pills. This isn't about performance. It's about rediscovering what's still alive in you, and always has been. So stay with me, because this might be the conversation that brings you back to life. There's a man named Charles. He's 73. He's been married to his wife Helen for nearly 50 years. They still hold hands, still drink coffee on the porch every morning, still laugh about the same jokes they shared in their 20s. But for the past 2 years, Charles has been quietly avoiding intimacy. He tells Helen he's tired, that his back hurts, that maybe tonight isn't the right night. But the truth is, he's scared. Scared that if he tries and fails, she'll look at him differently. That he'll lose not just his erection, but her respect. Charles came to see me last fall. He sat on the edge of the exam table staring at the floor and whispered, "Doc, I think I'm broken." And here's what I told him, something I want to tell you too. You are not broken. Your body is changing, not failing. Science backs this up. A 2016 study in the Journal of Sexual Medicine found something most people don't know. Erections and orgasms are controlled by 2 different systems. You can still experience deep, rich, satisfying pleasure, even without a full erection. Let me say that again. You can still feel, you can still connect, you can still enjoy intimacy. But it starts with this one shift in thinking. Let go of performance, embrace presence. When Charles let go of performing, he discovered something unexpected. He and Helen began spending time just holding each other again, slowly, gently, with no pressure. They explored touch with curiosity, not fear, and one night, in the quiet of their bedroom, they both cried. Not because anything was wrong, but because, for the first time in years, they felt seen, felt safe, felt whole. So here's a simple practice you can try tonight. Don't focus on what your body can or can't do. Instead, ask, what can I feel right now? Use soft lighting, breathe slowly, touch yourself not with a goal, but with kindness. Because pleasure isn't about achieving something, it's about discovering something new inside yourself. Your body hasn't given up on you. Maybe it's just waiting for you to meet it where it is. Gently, honestly, and without shame. Charles, the man we met earlier, wasn't alone. Another patient, Harold, age 68, came to me not long after his wife passed away. For months, Harold had withdrawn from life. He stopped going out, stopped gardening, stopped smiling. And when I gently asked if he still connected with his body, he shook his head and said, "It doesn't feel right anymore. She's gone. I'm just here." But here's something I need every man listening to understand. Masturbation isn't just physical. It's emotional. It's spiritual. It's a form of remembrance and a way back to yourself. A 2018 study in Psychology and Aging found that sexual activity, including masturbation, boosts mood, reduces depression, and triggers the release of oxytocin and dopamine, the feel-good chemicals that soothe the nervous system and help us feel connected, safe, and whole. For Harold, I didn't give him a prescription, I gave him permission. "You're not dishonoring her," I told him. "You're reconnecting with the part of you that's still alive." He started small. A warm shower, soft music, letting his hands wander, not to chase something but to feel something. And little by little, life began to come back into his eyes. He even joined a local art class, something he hadn't done since college, not because he needed distraction, but because he felt whole enough to create again. That's what intentional self-care can do. But here's the catch. It has to come from presence, not from escape. Many older men turn to masturbation like they used to turn to alcohol or television, just to fill the silence. But used this way, it disconnects you from your body, instead of bringing you home. So ask yourself gently, am I doing this to numb or to feel? Am I running from pain or moving toward healing? If the answer is healing, then here's a ritual to try. Set aside one evening this week. Turn off your phone, light a candle, play music that stirs your soul, and explore your body like you're meeting an old friend again, not out of guilt, but reverence. Because pleasure isn't shameful, it's sacred, and you, dear man, are still worthy of that sacredness, even now, especially now. Harold's story reminds us how vital reconnection is. But what happens when disconnection lasts too long? That brings me to James, 66 years old, retired firefighter, proud grandfather of 4. He used to be full of life, a man who danced in the kitchen and flirted playfully with his wife Maria. But after a minor heart scare 2 years ago, James became cautious. He started avoiding intimacy out of fear. Fear that arousal might strain his heart. Fear that he might fail again. Fear that it just wasn't worth trying. So he stopped, not just physically, but emotionally. What he didn't realize is what science now confirms. Sexual health, like muscle strength or memory, declines with disuse. Inactivity causes narrowing of blood vessels, reduced sensitivity, and lower testosterone. Not age alone. A 2020 study published in Urology showed that older men who remain sexually active, including regular masturbation, experienced stronger blood flow, healthier erectile tissue, and a lower risk of long-term dysfunction. In simple terms, if you stop using your sexual system, it weakens. Not from shame, not from punishment, but from simple biology. When James finally opened up to me, his voice cracked. "I just want to feel like myself again," he said. "Not like a ghost in my own skin." I told him something I'll tell you now. Your body remembers, you just have to wake it up, gently. So we created a simple, consistent plan. Twice a week, James would set aside 20 minutes, not to perform, but to stimulate touch, breath, and awareness. No pressure, no expectations, just time to listen to what his body could still say. He started with slow breathing, pelvic floor exercises, and mindful self-touch. Gradually, sensation returned. Confidence followed. Even Mariah noticed. Not because of what he did, but because of how he carried himself again. He smiled more, moved with pride. One night, she whispered, "I missed this version of you." That's the magic of maintenance. Sexual health isn't just about pleasure, it's about presence. So if you've been avoiding your body out of shame, fear, or silence, here's your gentle reminder. Start small, light a candle, take a breath, place your hand over your heart, or lower if it feels right, and say, "I'm still here," because you are. And it's not too late to come home to yourself. By now you've heard how connection, presence, and gentle self-torture can bring your body back to life. But there's one invisible habit that quietly robs many older men of all of that: overuse of pornography. Let me be clear, this isn't about judgment. It's about understanding what repeated screen-based stimulation can do to a brain that's trying to age with grace. Meet Robert. 71, divorced for over a decade, living alone, no children nearby. He started watching adult videos a few times a week, just for company. But over time, it became every night, then twice a day. Then he couldn't feel anything when he tried to touch himself without a screen. He said, "It's like my body's reacting, but I'm not even there." Here's why this happens. A 2019 study in Neuroscience and Biobehavioral Reviews found that excessive porn use floods the brain with dopamine, overstimulating the reward system. Over time, this raises your arousal threshold, meaning you need more, faster, harder images to feel anything. While real life, real touch, real warmth, and because the aging brain naturally processes dopamine more slowly, older men are especially vulnerable to this numbness. But here's the hope: you can reverse it. When Robert and I talked, we made a bold plan: a 7-day break, no screens. Instead, we created a ritual: low light, slow breathing, gentle self-touch, and imagination. The first 3 nights, frustrating, but then something beautiful happened. He began to remember. Not just images, but feelings. The warmth of a partner's skin, the sound of laughter under the sheets, the emotional electricity of being fully present. By the end of 2 weeks, Robert no longer needed videos. He said, "I didn't just get my body back, I got me back." So here's a challenge, if you're willing. Take a screen break for 7 days. No porn, no fantasies from someone else's camera. Instead, reconnect with your own senses. Close your eyes, use your memory. Let your breath, your body, and your imagination guide you. Because pleasure isn't about chasing intensity, it's about reclaiming intimacy with yourself and with the life you still have to feel. After helping men like Robert reclaim their connection to sensation, I want to leave you with one of the most overlooked yet powerful truths in men's health. Masturbation isn't just a coping mechanism. It's a full-body, full-spirited health practice. And no, I'm not exaggerating. A 2021 study in The Gerontologist found that regular, mindful masturbation in older adults was linked to better prostate health, improved sleep, reduced stress and anxiety, lower feelings of loneliness and isolation, and perhaps most importantly, it helped men stay connected to their own identity. Let me tell you about Henry. He's 75, a retired school teacher. His wife Marie passed away 3 years ago. Since then, Henry had resigned himself to silence, not just in his house, but in his body. He said, "I feel like I've shut the door on that part of me." When I asked him when he last touched himself, he looked down and said, "I don't. It doesn't feel appropriate." But that appropriate came from years of shame, religious guilt, cultural silence, the old belief that self-pleasure is selfish, or worse, wrong. Here's the truth. Touching yourself is not shameful. It's a reminder that your body and your pleasure still belong to you. So I invited Henry to change the narrative, not to chase arousal, but to practice presence, to light a candle, sit quietly, place a hand on his heart and say, "This body still deserves care. This life still has desire. I still matter." He began journaling after each self-text session, not about sex, but about what he felt. One entry read, "I thought I was dead inside. Turns out I was just waiting for permission." 3 months later, Henry stood taller, smiled wider. He even joined a local walking club and reconnected with a long-lost friend, something he hadn't had the energy to do in years. Because here's what no one tells you. When you touch yourself with intention, you send a message to your entire system. I'm alive. I'm listening. I still belong to this world. So don't wait for a doctor to hand you permission. Don't wait for a partner to validate your worth. Your pleasure is your own, and it just might be your most powerful medicine. Let's go back to the 3 men whose stories lit the path for us. Charles, 73, who once believed he was broken because his erections had changed. He used to avoid intimacy. Now he holds his wife not out of fear, but with full presence. He doesn't chase performance, he celebrates connection. Harold, 68, who stopped touching himself after losing his wife. Grief told him that pleasure was no longer his to claim, but through mindful, tender self-check, he found color in his life again. Now, he tends to his garden, paints in the afternoon sun, and knows that joy isn't betrayal, it's belonging. Robert, 71, who became numb after years of relying on screens for stimulation, he felt disconnected, not just from others, but from himself. But the day he turned the screen off and turned inward, something shifted. He didn't just awaken his senses, he remembered who he was. 3 men, 3 silent losses, 3 quiet revolutions. And the common thread? They didn't need a new partner, or a pill, or a second chance at youth. They just needed permission to come home to their bodies, to their desire, to their worth. And maybe, so do you. You've heard their stories. Maybe you saw yourself in one of them. Or maybe you felt something stir inside you for the first time in years. So now, I want to ask you, gently but directly, what part of your story is still waiting to be touched? What moment in this video felt like it was written just for you? Tell me in the comments. Not for the algorithm, not for the views, but because your truth, your voice, might be the one that helps another man feel less alone tonight. And if you're not ready to speak just yet, that's okay too. Sometimes just listening is a form of healing. But when you are ready, I'll be right here, because this channel isn't just about sexual health, it's about dignity, connection, and rediscovery. So if today opened even one small door in your heart, hit that like button, share this with someone who might need it, and subscribe, not for content, but for a community that sees you, respects you, and grows with you. Next week, we'll dive into a topic that so many couples over 60 ask me about: how to reconnect with your partner when your bodies and your rhythms have changed. You're not done, you're just beginning.